And we'll start with the roll call. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
And moving on, we'll move into a moment of silent prayer or private reflection. Amen. And moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Moving on to 1.5, do we see a need for a possible motion for an executive session?
Nope.
I think we're good.
Seeing there's none, we'll move on to 2.1 for the superintendent recognition of LHUSD Support Staff of the Year.
Hey, good evening. This is one of the most exciting nights of the year, and it's so great to have you all here. At LHUSD, we recognize the extraordinary contributions made by teachers and staff every day to improve the lives of students in Lake Havasu City. To honor their work, we invited community members, parents, colleagues, and students to nominate a teacher or staff member who they feel deserves a special recognition. From those nominations, sites selected their Teachers of the Year. A committee was then assembled to do a blind scoring of the support staff nominees, rookie teacher nominees, and Teacher of the Year nominees. The tally of those scores brings you this year's honorees. Tonight, we're thrilled to present our 6th annual LHUSD Staff Celebration. We want to thank our community partners for their generous donations in making this special event a reality. The parent-teacher organizations and K-12 Foundation generously sponsored tonight's reception, catered by our WAVE culinary students and Chef Desper. Tonight's Crystal Awards were generously donated by the Lake Havasu Area Chamber of Commerce, and Lisa Kruger, the Chamber's Executive Director, is here to help us present tonight. The Rookie Support Staff and District Teacher of the Year will receive gift packages generously donated by London Bridge Resort, the K-12 Foundation, Anderson Power Sports, Mudshark Brewery, Sunset Charters, Star Cinemas, Love and Light Salon, and the Shabby Shack. So we will begin tonight with our Rookie of the Year, Michael De La Cruz from Smoke Tree Elementary. Mr. De La Cruz is in his 2nd year of teaching at Smoke Tree Elementary and living in Lake Havasu since relocating from the Philippines. In that short time, Mr. De La Cruz made a lasting impression on his students, colleagues, and our community. Mr. De La Cruz's students will tell you his lessons are captivating with his implementation of technology and sharing of real-life examples from his own experiences. Colleagues count on Mr. De La Cruz to lend a helping hand and be there for other new teachers as an example of professionalism and quality teaching. Mr. De La Cruz models lifelong learning for all. Outside of the classroom, Mr. De La Cruz is a significant contributor to the Smoke Tree program. He tutors 3rd graders after school, sponsors the STEM Club, co-advises the Patriotic Club, produces and monitors the content for the Cougar TV YouTube channel. Mr. De La Cruz's many talents extended to the community in his work with Grace Arts Theater and his church, where he is a member of the choir. We are thrilled to recognize Mr. De La Cruz for all his accomplishments and to name him LHUSD's Rookie Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
And we're moving on to our Support Staff Member of the Year, Mrs. Erin Horvath. So Mrs. Erin Horvath has held many positions in her time with LHUSD. She began her career in the Little Knights preschool and then supporting reading intervention as a paraprofessional before working her way to administrative assistant, accounting, and now human resources specialist. For those of you who know and have worked with Erin, they will tell you she is relentlessly committed to pursuing excellence in all she does. Erin's ability to critically think, problem solve, and clearly communicate has improved district-wide systems for the benefit of all LHUSD stakeholders. Recently, Erin has taken the role of the district's onboarding specialist for new hires. Her positive, welcoming demeanor sets the tone for professionalism and customer service that we hope all our new hires will emulate as they begin their careers in LHUSD. By the time new hires arrive to town or come in for their first appointment, you often hear them saying, "I feel like I've known you for so long, and it's like seeing an old friend again." Erin's ability to build meaningful relationships with staff has made her a go-to resource across the district. She embodies what it means to serve others before yourself. We are grateful for the transformative work Erin has provided in each of her roles over the years and are proud to name her LHUSD's Support Staff of the Year. So now we are moving on to our Site Teachers of the Year, and we are going to start with LHHS, Mrs. Eugenia Anderson. Mrs. Eugenia Anderson is Lake Havasu High School's Teacher of the Year. She is an impact educator that brings English to life for her students by creating a space for students to think critically and explore their subject in a classroom built on fairness, responsibility, inclusion, and kindness. Mrs. Anderson models LHUSD's mission of engaging each student with a focus on scholarship, character, and humanity in her lesson design and delivery. Mrs. Anderson models lifelong learning and leadership for her students in and out of the classroom. She is currently the English Department Chair and member of the PBIS Committee, leading her coworkers to implement new curriculum and programs with a focus on supporting all students to achieve their full potential. Recently, she graduated with her Master's in Educational Leadership and is often seen helping as an administrative substitute when the need arises. Beyond the school community, Mrs. Anderson partners with ASU Havasu and young curators to provide staff and students with opportunities to become involved in the community. We are grateful to Mrs. Anderson for the example she sets in and out of the classroom and proud to name her Lake Havasu High School's Teacher of the Year. Our next Teacher of the Year for Starline is Mrs. Karen Rockwell. Mrs. Karen Rockwell is well known throughout Starline and LHUSD for her infectious positivity and endless joy. She is the epitome of what it means to carry the banner and be the positive voice for her students, colleagues, families, and the teaching profession. Students who enter Mrs. Rockwell's classroom can count on being seen as a whole child with complex lives. All children are embraced and supported as unique individuals in their learning goals and personal development.
Absolutely.
Whether she is teaching second graders grammar or sixth graders pre-algebra, Mrs. Rockwell will ensure her students experience the feeling of success and receive positive quality feedback to keep them engaged and eager to learn more. Parents of Mrs. Rockwell's students are made true partners as she shares the achievement of important milestones and shows up at extracurricular activities just to cheer on her students outside of the classroom. Mrs. Rockwell even started the first ever game board club at Starline to provide students opportunities to build relationships in a fun way that also promotes problem solving, concentration, and sometimes strategic thinking. We are so proud to announce the biggest cheerleader of LHUSD as Starline Elementary's Teacher of the Year. We are moving on to Smoke Tree and Miss Tiffany McClintock. Miss Tiffany McClintock of Smoke Tree Elementary is a sixth grade teacher that specializes in making math accessible through building relationships based on kindness, compassion, building confidence, and embracing each person's individual strengths and weaknesses. Ms. McClintock goes out of her way to help students approach a subject that can sometimes be intimidating by using a variety of teaching methods. If you have the pleasure of learning math from Ms. McClintock, you will be engaged in meaningful math talk, physical enactment of complex problems, drawing math models, and applying abstract ideas to real-world contexts. Beyond her classroom, Ms. McClintock goes the extra mile by tutoring students after school, leading the PBIS committee, and co-advising Smoke Trees Student Council. Smoke Trees PBIS program has soared under Ms. McClintock's leadership as she has found creative ways to train staff and build excitement for the students. Beyond her contributions to Smoke Tree, several LHUSD teachers have benefited from observing and collaborating with Ms. McClintock and have applied her best practices into their own classrooms. Her influence is felt not only in Smoke Tree, but in all of LHUSD's schools. Congratulations, Ms. McClintock, on the tremendous impact you have had thus far. We are proud to name you Smoke Tree's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. And moving on to Havasupai Elementary, we have Ms. Julia Dixon. Ms. Julia Dixon is Havasupai's 2023 Teacher of the Year. Ms. Dickinson is currently teaching 5th grade at Havasupai, where she has been living out her childhood dream of becoming an outstanding teacher and role model, like so many role models from her own childhood. Ms. Dickinson is known for building an inclusive classroom that focuses on developing the whole child. Ms. Dickinson routinely works with various staff to learn about how to support each student on an individual level. Students in Ms. Dickinson's class are given opportunities to explore and use their social skills with her integration of the Counseling Toolbox lessons into each week's community building activities. In addition to collaborating with others, Ms. Dickinson has hosted student teachers and mentored new teachers at Havasupai. Outside of the classroom, Ms. Dickinson is known for leading a variety of events and activities. Whether she is running Havasupai's Field Day, running the Student Council, lending a hand with STEM Club, or coaching the LHHS swim team, Ms. Dickinson is there to encourage all to try a little harder and reach a little higher. Thank you, Ms. Dickinson, for all you do to support Havasupai and our Knights. We are pleased to name you Havasupai's Teacher of the Year. Thank you. Next at Nautilus, we have Mrs. Stephanie Caterina. Second grade teacher Stephanie Caterina is Nautilus Elementary's Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Caterina is known for her dedication to modeling lifelong learning. As education initiatives change, Mrs. Caterina is right there to learn and incorporate these changes into her daily instruction to improve her students' achievement. It is not uncommon to visit her classroom and see students working in small groups, using technology within the curriculum, and receiving differentiated instruction. Mrs. Caterina works alongside her colleagues in the grades above and below to ensure students' needs are met when entering second grade and are well prepared for the next grade level. Mrs. Caterina's commitment to her students and the profession is also seen in her presence on multiple site and district committees. Mrs. Caterina has been the second grade articulation lead for LHUSD, served on curriculum adoption committees and Nautilus's student intervention team, as well as the school safety team. Most recently, Mrs. Caterina earned her national board certification and uses her additional professional development to continue to apply best practices in her classroom and in her collaborative work with her colleagues. We are so proud of all of Mrs. Caterina's contributions to LHUSD and pleased to name her Nautilus's Teacher of the Year. Next from Jamaica, we have Mrs. Rita Kidder. Mrs. Rita Kidder is the reading interventionist for Jamaica Elementary, where they are proud to call her their 22-23 Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Kidder's students thrive under her care and leadership, where she creates a sense of belonging and acceptance. All who have the honor of working with Mrs. Kidder will tell you she is known for her calm, kind presence and use of data to support instructional decisions to ensure students are reading. She carefully plans her lessons to incorporate auditory, visual, and kinesthetic activities to support her diverse learners. In addition to her critical work of leading reading intervention, Mrs. Kidder is an active member of the student intervention team, school safety team, coordinates the annual spelling bee, and leads training on the use of Dibble's assessment data for paraprofessionals who support struggling readers. When Mrs. Kidder is not giving her time to Jamaica Elementary, you might find her working with Mount Olive Lutheran to support the Guiding Light Educational Learning Center. As Mrs. Kidder has taught through the many changes and trends of education, there is one thing that has remained the same: her unwavering commitment to student success. We are delighted to present Mrs. Kidder as the Jamaica Teacher of the Year. Next, we have Thunderbolt and Mrs. Kimberly Lehman. Mrs. Kimberly Lehman is Thunderbolt's band and choir teacher. However, she will tell you that she does not teach a subject or a skill set, but rather she teaches middle schoolers to be the best they can be by building deep relationships founded on trust, understanding, and respect. Mrs. Lehman's philosophy is that we all make mistakes, but it is how we use the mistakes that matter. Whether students are working through a difficult note to play on their new instrument or struggling to resolve a conflict with a friend, Mrs. Lehman guides them to stay focused on building positive habits to forge a successful path forward in music, in school, and in life. When she is not supporting her students in their performances and parades, you have probably seen her in the community practicing her craft and promoting the arts in Lake Havasu City. Mrs. Lehman is the Symphonic Winds conductor and served as the community choir conductor for 5 years. In all her spare time, Mrs. Lehman has been pursuing her master's in school counseling. We are grateful to Mrs. Lehman for the role model she is for our middle schoolers and couldn't be happier to name her Thunderbolts Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. And last but not least, at Oro Grande Classical Academy, we have Lisa Morgan. Oro Grande Classical Academy is proud to recognize Mrs. Lisa Morgan as this year's Teacher of the Year. Parents and colleagues will tell you that Mrs. Morgan's classroom is one of routines and procedures where students are honored for their unique talents, gifts, and abilities. In her 20 years of teaching kindergarten, Mrs. Morgan has developed an innate ability to differentiate academic and social expectations for each student. Her mission is to ensure every student's first experience as a member of the classroom community is one that keeps them engaged and eager for more learning. Mrs. Morgan champions her students by taking the time to know each child's story. She leads her classroom with empathy and compassion and connects their experiences to their learning. Students know they are valued for who they are and their limitless potential. 5 years ago, when the idea of a classical academy was first entertained, Mrs. Morgan was LHUSD's first teacher to pilot the curriculum, teaching methods, and development of governing virtues. Her vision, hard work, and daily modeling have shaped the standards and ideals that the Classical Academy still operates under today. Over the years, Mrs. Morgan has supported the mission and vision of the school by supporting a virtue-based PBIS program, leading the integration of Latin studies in all grades, and is now supporting the addition of a preschool program. Mrs. Morgan's legacy makes her very deserving of not only Oro Grande's Teacher of the Year, but also earned her the honor of LHUSD's District Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. You have another award for that. So come. So we would like to welcome Tina Stocking from Mudshark Brewery, who has a special presentation for our Teacher of the Year. Oh, hold on one moment.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you in your own dedicated section of our menu, Teacher of the Year's Choice, to be there all year long. Congratulations. Thank you. And congratulations to all of our educators.
And our final guest this evening is our Vice Mayor, David Lane, with a special proclamation. Yep, hold on to it.
I'm going to make you shake my hand now. I'm just kidding.
We are optimistic, yes.
Just kidding. It's quite an honor to be here. On behalf of Mayor Sheehy, he's out of town this week. He couldn't be here. This is one of the fun things we get to do as elected officials. It's special for me. I have 2 kids in this school district. 2 grandkids, I should say. Way too old to have 2 kids in the district. But I do have a grandchild at Starline. Yeah. And one that went through Starline is now at Thunderbolt. So you guys are awesome. Really appreciate all the work that this district does. You know, the city's old enough now that our students are now growing up to be our leaders here in this community. And we see that. And I think it's pretty awesome, the work that all of you do. So on behalf of the mayor and the city council, I have a proclamation to read. But being at my age, you know, if there's nothing to write, the printing's really big, and then I can read it. But when somebody's as special as you are, the writing's a lot smaller. So, because there's a lot to read. So, Office of the Mayor, Lake Havasu City, Arizona proclamation. Lake Havasu Unified School District Teacher of the Year Day, April 18th, 2023. Whereas today we recognize and celebrate Lisa Morgan as the Lake Havasu Unified School District's 2023 Teacher of the Year. As an elementary kindergarten teacher, she has worked in the Lake Havasu Unified School District for the past 21 years, and in that time she has impacted thousands of students' lives. And whereas Lisa is a proud Lake Havasu High School alum, exactly what I was talking about, and impact teacher at Oro Grande Classical Academy, colleagues, administrators, and parents who've worked with Lisa will tell you she embraces the whole child to advance their learning and support their character development. Students in her classroom master life skills and academic skills that last a lifetime. And whereas Lisa lives out the ideals of what it means to be an accomplished educator and goes above and beyond in her role in our professional learning community, she is an example of lifelong learning for her students. Lisa piloted the first ever classical kindergarten in Lake Havasu City. She continues to advance the mission and vision of her school by now leading the Classical Academy's expansion of their curriculum with the integration of Latin for all students in grades K to 6th. And whereas Lisa makes her classroom and school a better place for educators, the families, and most importantly for all students, Lisa's intentional work to instill virtues and strong morals in her students and model lifelong learning is an inspiration to students and colleagues. I want to express my sincere appreciation to Mrs. Morgan for her unwavering dedication and service to the children in this community. Are you getting embarrassed yet?
No, I want to cry.
Now, therefore, Cal Sheehy, the mayor of Lake Havasu City, does hereby proclaim Tuesday, April the 18th, 2023, as Lake Havasu Unified School District Teacher of the Year Day in Lake Havasu City, and urge all citizens to join us in congratulating, I need a speech class, Lisa Morgan on this outstanding achievement with the Lake Havasu Unified School District and Lake Havasu City. Signed, your mayor, Cal Sheehy.
I know you have so much room, Miss Morgan.
I'm going to give that to you to hold
Yes.
her. And we'll get pictures after.
I'm going to pile them all over there now.
Okay. Perfect.
So I am incredibly proud of every one of you and what you do in your classrooms every day, and our kids benefit so greatly from the things you do. So I can't thank you enough. What I would like to do is have a group picture with the school board. So we're going to have you move over here in this opening, and the school board members will join you. And then we will get a picture. Do you want to hold this in your picture?
What would you like?
How about that?
Switch it or
I
just
think that's
both?
nice. Those are good.
nice?
Yeah.
Thank you. Find a window. You're back there.
Right there. Because you'll get the table otherwise. Just, you're all going to squeeze in. You're going to have to get got everybody in? Can you see everybody? Good. Can you get everybody? Yeah, we can move this. So cute. Hold, please. You want to take a picture with?
Right? I know. This is like one of the best meetings every year. Definitely. And usually upbeat attitudes. Talk soon.
A lot of picture opportunities going on. I'm going to move on to our second spotlight and recognition tonight. So please help us congratulate Ben Robertson and his graphic design student Brandon Larson. Come on up. For winning the State Skills USA in the t-shirt design competition. So what this means is this shirt, and you can see it up there. At the Skills USA State Competition, thousands of students, advisors, and state CTE members will all be wearing our very own Lake Havasu High School students t-shirt design. So we are super proud and excited for them to represent Lake Havasu High School. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to 2.3, we have the Lake Havasu City Education Association, Carol Norkowski.
Good evening, President and members of the board. What I just handed you was the AA proposal for the educator's budget. You will see inside the second page is what we've laid out and we're presenting in hopes that that will be near future. Right now, it's at a standstill, as we know, everything that's going on in legislation. So, this is what I have to present tonight, since there's not a whole lot going on there. But you will see on the third page, it just goes over the components of it, raising salaries and wages for the Arizona, so Arizona can compete, increasing funding for healthcare, investing in our current funding methods by adding resources for special ed, career and tech, school serving Indigenous students, school serving and need students, junior high, and dual enrollment. Also adding funding to district additional assistance, ensuring aspiring educators are able to graduate debt-free by adding funding to the Teachers Academy, and provide funding for student mental health support, and then also the use of the one-time funding for the facilities board that we all know well. But the one thing we're really continuously pushing that full-day kindergarten. So if we can collectively as a group report to our legislator how impactful that is, that would be great. Also, I did review last week, April 12th, the Senate Ed Committee received a report from JLBC on the current funding system for traditional and public charter, the public school funding, comparing the two. It's a pretty interesting outcome as far as the discussion, so I highly recommend our board, our directors, staff, and our community to review it. It's last week's Senate Ed Committee for April 12th. We can get it in the archives, and it's a really good comparison, and they break it down like the funding mechanisms for both and where we're at, and then it identifies the top like 90 percentile and the low 10 percentile, and I think, as we know, we're based on all of the funding mechanisms here at Lake House Unified School District, we are one of those low ends, just because we don't receive a whole lot of extra funding. So just keep that in mind. I mean, put that out there, so you may want to review it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Moving on to 3.1, do we have a call to the public? Seeing there's none, we'll move on to 4.1, and we will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We approve the consent agenda as presented.
And I'll second.
Carl Uterman,
Yes.
Karen Hart,
Yes.
Lisa Moholt,
Yes.
Erica Rose,
Yes.
Charles Nelson.
Yes.
Moving on to 6.1, business services, job order contracting for construction services.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board members, as part of the district's commitment to construct, remodel, and renovate school facilities as communicated to voters and identified in the November 2016 bond voter pamphlet, the district is recommending building and site improvements at Havasupai Elementary, Nautilus Elementary, and Lake Havasu High School. The scope of work, while not a comprehensive list, will include the following: Havasupai Elementary, grading, fencing, paving, coating of parking lot and drives, field and playground surfaces, concrete walkways, seat walls, stairs, etc. Nautilus Elementary, fencing, paving, coating of parking lots and drives, concrete walkways, seat walls, very much an mirror image of Havasupai. Lake Havasu High School preschool restroom, cabinets, sink, plumbing, drywall, painting, etc. Concord General Contracting will be procured as a JOC through the 1GPA cooperative contract. Board policy DJE states the maximum dollar amount of an individual job order for a job order contracting construction service shall be $2 million per project or as determined by the board. Concord's submitted bid totals include the following by site or project. Havasupai Elementary is just under $2.9 million. The district requests a not to exceed approval in the amount of $3.1 million to provide owner contingency funds during the construction process. Nautilus Elementary was about $2.6 million. And in the attachments that were available and are available to not only the board and the public, Nautilus Elementary has multiple phases to it that's outlined. This is for phase 1, 2, and 3 only. 2A and B, we're going to petition the School Facilities Board or the Department of School Facilities in the future to help fund those projects, which incorporate a basketball court and a couple other areas of Nautilus Elementary. The district requests a not to exceed approval in the amount of $2.9 million to provide owner contingency funds during the construction process. Lake Havasu High School preschool restroom, the bid came in at just under $37,000. The district requests a not to exceed approval in the amount of $40,000 to provide owner contingency funds during the construction process. Bond and or other allowable capital funds will be used to complete the Havasupai and Nautilus Elementary site renovations. Community school grant and or other allowable capital funds will be used to complete the preschool restroom renovations. This item has been reviewed and approved by purchasing.
I move that we approve 6.1 as presented.
I'll second.
And these improvements will be kind of similar to what we've seen at Starline and Oro Grande, where we brought the grounds up so that they're more functional.
That is
for the
correct.
students? Okay.
That is correct.
I think it's a good use of money. I know that, just from what I've seen at Starline, it makes a big difference when the playground is functional and usable for the children. It makes it easier also to supervise them when they're at their recess. And so, to me, this is a good use of money for sure.
And Starline is an example where the newly installed basketball court was approved and was purchased or funded through the School Facilities Board, and we'll be doing the exact same thing at Nautilus.
Yes.
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 Moving on to 6.2, Business Services, Havasu Pi Elementary, the playground equipment, structures, and safety surfaces.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board members, as part of the district's commitment to construct, remodel, and renovate school facilities as communicated to voters and identified in the November 2016 bond voter pamphlet, the district is recommending the replacement of the upper and lower playground equipment structures and safety surface materials at Havasu Pi Elementary at a not-to-exceed cost of $375,000 to cover incidentals that may present themselves during construction and installation. In May of 2020, the governing board approved the replacement of playground equipment structures and safety surface materials at Oro Grande Classical Academy and Starline Elementary. In 2022, the safety surface material at Jamaica Elementary was replaced during the remodel and renovation work at this campus. Nautilus Elementary and Smoke Tree Elementary will be the only remaining schools for future playground equipment structures and safety surface replacement, and they're scheduled to be approximately completed or come to you in fiscal year 24 and possibly fiscal year 25. Exerplay will be procured through the 1GPA cooperative contract. Quotes for equipment material purchase and installation, equipment design, and a digital rendering for both the upper and lower playgrounds are included in the action item. Bond capital and or other allowable capital funds will be used to install playground equipment and safety surface materials. This item has been reviewed and approved by purchasing.
I move that we approve 6.2 as presented.
I second it.
Yes.
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 Moving on to 6.3, Business Services, acceptance of the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, ACFR, single audit, and the USFR questionnaire for the fiscal year of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. ARS 15-914 requires that school districts who have an adopted M&O budget limit in excess of $2 million annually shall contract for an annual financial statement audit and the completion of the USFR compliance questionnaire. School districts who expend more than $750,000 in federal revenues must also contract for a federal single audit. In the spring of 2021, the Arizona legislature passed legislation that requires the governing board to publicly accept these audits through a roll call vote. The school district must also upload these files to the Arizona Department of Education and provide them to the county superintendent's office.
I move we accept 6.3 as presented.
I'll second. And also, I just want to say, I am blown away by this audit. It is an awesome audit. Very rarely do the auditors give you a certificate that tells you you're awesome in it. I would recommend that folks look at the audit to kind of see it. I was kind of thinking, this is my time to like really rake Mike through the mud and find all these things wrong.
I always look forward to that.
Yes. But there is just not much there. I mean, there's always something in an audit. I've been through a lot of audits, and the things that in this are very minor, things that we have touched upon and are working on in the past, things that are, kind of like whack-a-mole things with attendance and things like that is very hard to keep track of. So I also appreciate that we have been providing the audits in the past, even before this policy came into place just recently. So kudos to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Moving on to 6.4, business services, vouchers, student activity funds, and auxiliary funds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board members, vouchers for March of 2023, K-12 student activity funds and auxiliary funds for March of 2023 are before you tonight.
I move we approve 6.4 as presented.
I'll second.
Yes.
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 Moving on to 7.1, informational from the superintendent.
So first, I would like to congratulate all of our Teachers of the Year, support staff, Ricky. I mean, that is what makes our district the best. They serve our kids in amazing ways. They serve our staff and each other in amazing ways, and I'm super proud of all of them. We can only recognize one staff, one Ricky, and then one teacher from each site, but there's so many that support and go into that, and just very proud of all our schools. The other thing I would like to remind everyone is that there is a music showcase Thursday night. It is K-12, so you will hear from elementary and middle and high school. It's at the PAC at 6 p.m., so we hope people can come on out and watch the show.
It's free.
Moving on to 7.2, informational from any of the governing board members.
I just want to say I'm proud of our students. Some of them have just come back from Future Business Leaders of America club. That they earlier participated in Phoenix and won, and now they have won nationals in Tucson, and they're going to Atlanta this summer. So we're very proud of that, and it's still not too late to contribute a tax credit to our students and clubs. So I hope you'll do that.
And I just wanted to kind of blame Andrea over there for wasting my time with the LHUSD feed. So much is going on right now. You think, testing is over. Now we can get to the end. There are so many things going on with Future Business Leaders, Skills USA, all of these different clubs are going on, and it's kudos to the teachers and the staff members who are providing these kids these opportunities to kind of decide what they want to do and kind of use these opportunities to springboard them into their next journey where they're headed after high school. So even though it seems like things are ramping down, I don't think they are. So kudos.
And any board suggestions for future agenda items? Any clarifying questions from the media? Then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Beat you, John.
Seconded.
Yes.
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 Declare this meeting adjourned.